Good morning. Thanks for joining me here on the beach. The sun is up and it's a beautiful day here in Florida. I'm so grateful. I just got back from a vacation, so I apologize that it's been a while since I did a video. One of the things I did while I was on vacation was I went to a meeting outside of my zone, I'd never been there before. If you've never done that before, if you've never been to a meeting out of town, I encourage you to do so. It's good for us, especially if we're traveling in an area that we've never been before, especially if we're alone or something like that. It's always good to hit a meeting when you're out of town. The topic of the meeting was resentment, and it was a pretty good-sized meeting, so I didn't share. But of course, I had plenty going through my head as people were talking. If you've been in recovery any amount of time at all, you know that in the book that it says that resentment is the number one offender. That means that resentment is something I need to avoid. And, the majority of this meeting was talking about how to get rid of resentments. And that's good, to get rid of resentments. But I kept thinking to myself, how do I prevent resentments? Rather than allow those resentments to take place and then deal with those resentments, how do I go about preventing the resentment in the first place? The reason that I say that is that somehow I have avoided any new resentments in quite a long time. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't feel anger sometimes. Very, very seldom. And I think that the reason is because I have looked into what resentment really is. Resentment is basically just anger that you haven't dealt with. It's anger that you don't know why you're angry, really. You're just angry, and that's a more comfortable way to feel rather than, fear. And that's basically what it comes down to, is fear. Our anger is our way of dealing with the fear. And the fear usually has to do with either losing something we've already got or not getting what we think we deserve. Let's think about that for a second. Losing something we've already got, whether it's a job, a spouse, peace of mind. We don't want to lose those things, and we have fear over losing those things. Or not getting what we think we deserve, like a spouse that really loves us, or the raise at work, or peace of mind. So fear stands behind that anger. And like I said, anger is something that I have used in the past as a way of coping with those fears. Anger, and I've said this on here before, but anger is not a primary emotion. You don't just become angry. Anger is a secondary emotion. It's a way of coping with the primary emotion, which in most cases is fear. Fear that we're going to lose something that we already have or not get something we think we deserve. How do I prevent resentment? Well, first of all, just knowing that my anger is not just anger. There's more to it than that. I kind of look at anger as like drinking. It's very similar. I used to drink to deal with or cope with uncomfortable emotions. See, when I'm angry, that puts me in the right. I can be angry at you because you're in the wrong. That makes sense? that makes me superior to you because I'm angry at you. You did me wrong. And that anger, looking at it as just anger, turns into a resentment, and it sticks with me. So, back when I did a fourth step, okay? In a fourth step, we do that fearless moral inventory. A thorough, fearless moral inventory. And we deal with the resentments that we have. And when we look at them, as well as I do, it boils down to fear. So rather than deal with the resentment and the anger, don't allow it to show up. Recognize it for what it is. It's fear. It's fear. Now, if you're new in sobriety, fear is one of those things that, I can remember thinking, fear? What the heck? I don't have any fears. That's because I called it anger. I knew fear, but I called it anger. So, rather than allow that anger to just be anger and turn into a resentment, I recognize it for what it is. It's fear. And deal with that fear. Face it. Own it. Feel it. Feel that uncomfortable emotion rather than just turn it into anger so that it's more comfortable. No, it's a true emotion. Now, when I'm dealing with fears, that's something that I can turn to God for. God, help me with this fear. Grant me courage to change the things I can. That's what it's all about. Changing the things I can. And allowing God to change the things that I can't. And one of the things that God changed for me was He gave me a life free of resentment, where I can be happy, joyous, and free. So thanks for joining me, folks. You guys have a great day, and recognize fear for what it is. It's fear. Don't use anger or drinking to cope with those uncomfortable emotions like fear. I'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me. Bye-bye.